All right. Welcome back, everybody. So based on his article, Jamaica as a Development State, published in The Gleaner, we've invited Professor of Anthropology at City University of New York, Dr. Don Robotham, to discuss the importance of pursuing development more so than growth for Jamaica to truly succeed. Welcome, sir. Good to have you with us this morning.
Morning to you both. Very nice. Happy Independence.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And to you too, sir.
Let's start at the baseline. Let's first distinguish between growth and development, because some people use them interchangeably. Certainly there are characteristics of each in the other, but let's distinguish them first and then we launch.
Okay, well, growth is just growth in your GDP, and that can be caused by many things. For example, if you have oil, your GDP will grow because you're exporting is a valuable commodity and you grow, but the economy doesn't change inside. Development is a different thing. Development is a change in your production structure. You're producing different goods, especially high value added, high technology goods, because those now take you into a different zone, right? So a country like Denmark, which has no oil, right, is extremely highly developed. So this is a crucial distinction for us because it bears on the question, if I put it that way, of economic emancipation. Political emancipation is one thing, but what really matters to the citizens more than anything is the economics of it. So development is crucial because how do we move from being a supplier of basically unprocessed services in tourism or in entertainment for that matter, where we have all of this talent, right? But a lot of the high value added accrues, let's say, to the recording companies at that end. How do we move our economy to a situation where the value added in the production process, which is global, right, accrues here? Because if it accrues here, then wages will rise here. And if wages will rise here, the tax base of the government will be improved. And that means hospital services, education services, wage increases for civil servants, so on and so on. Teachers can be financed. So it's really crucial to get the economy to develop in that sense, not just to grow.
So it would sound to me like the development would be like a high level, which would kind of include growth, but not the other way around.
Not the other way around.
How did we end up here, though?
Well, it's a long
maximizing
story. We're not the only country in this position. But
right.
In fact, I would say the vast majority of countries in the global south are in a similar position as we are. The only countries really which are broken out of this are the countries in Asia. Starting with Japan at the end of the 9th century and coming forward to South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, China, and now Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand, and so on. They are the ones who are broken out of it. And the key is how do you get a higher level of technology in your production process? If you can't get that high level of technology in your production process, then of course you're not adding value to the goods. You're selling raw mangoes or you're selling yam. That's great.
And also efficiencies are not being maximized either because you're doing everything.
The sort of thing that Douglas Arrain was talking about in terms of productivity doesn't accrue here, it accrues elsewhere, and therefore people's wages, it's a battle, it's a win-lose battle around wage increases. If you get an increase, I get a decrease. So it's always this fight. Whereas what we want is a situation because the economy is developing, that is to say, its production structure is changing. Right, improving
to meet the changing times,
to meet the changing demand at the global level,
right,
which is where then the money will come here, right, and people's wages will increase.
Yep. Dr. Don, you said a developmental state is incompatible with IMF free market thinking, which captivates Jamaican policymakers.
Yes,
explain that, please, sir.
Strong statement. The IMF tends to say, leave everything to the market. That's their basic view. You get the balances right, the fiscal balances right, the monetary policy right, and then it will just flow. But it doesn't flow. It doesn't happen. It's not happening. It's manifestly not happening. And all the cases in Asia, from Japan right up, every single one, right, has had this huge state intervention. It's not possible to achieve this without a bigger role for the state. Because, you see, you've got to provide, for example, who's going to finance the improvement in technology, right? Is a private business going to plump? Of course not. The return for that is way down the road. So the state has to take as an institution specifically, like the Scientific Research Council, has to become more central to the production process. So you have to expand the state. And of course, the IMF is against that totally.
You also say lifting ourselves out of low-tech, low-value-added production is the only way to permanently transform this dismal landscape and the only sustainable route to social stability and a low debt GDP ratio.
Yeah, well, it's a mouthful, I agree. But the point here is a lot of us instability, a lot of the crime, a lot of the ill will in the society, a lot of the hustle, even I would say the way people drive on the roads in a way. There's a frantic rush for everybody to sort of stay above the waterline, right? Because everybody knows that the resources are scarce, are very scarce. If you don't grab yours quick, you're not getting it, right? So this question we're discussing is not just an economic issue. It's a broad social issue.
Because it cascades.
It absolutely cascades, and it affects people's personal lives. It affects scamming. It really affects the general quality of life, you know, people, the crudity or coarseness in life, all of these things, because people have to hustle. You know,
Things are. So let's talk a little bit about the workforce in getting us to this technological or technologically based place. You say the former system is not doing what it ought to, and if the former system is not churning out who we need to, how can Heart do any better if the foundation is...
Well, the stuff that Douglas Orain and Glenn Christian and Butch Hendrickson are doing is really important. And the STEM schools, although I think STEM is too narrow, it needs to be broader because the humanities are critical, right?
STEAM.
Really critical, right? For many reasons. If you take, for example, design, the humanities play a critical role in design, and design is a crucial part of what we're talking about. Better design products, better packaging. Humanities are central. But setting all that aside, we need to change the curriculum of the schools, especially the high schools. Now, I'm not saying that the early childhood is unimportant. I'm talking about the short-term intervention, the short-term, right? We can make a powerful short-term intervention at the high school level, especially grades 7 to 9, where we tend to see a dip in students' performance. That's crucial. But that's on the supply end. That is supplying highly trained, better trained students, better math knowledge, better English knowledge is crucial. You know, you can't have an electrician who can't read a diagram.
Well, you shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't. Yeah. So what Dougie and these guys are doing, that's on the supply end, and that's really, really important, right? But the question now is the demand end. How are you going to stop those people from migrating?
Exactly.
Right?
So how do you develop in a nation where your skilled people are leaving?
We can't do it unless there's a demand for their services, which is where this government, the state...
The demand for their services here.
Oh, it's very big over there.
Correct.
The Honourable Minister of Finance said that the financial services were the lifeblood of the economy.
Yeah.
Now, you were suggesting, he never said the productive sector, he never said technology, manufacturing, not our small farmers, nor tourism, nor our BPO workers threatened with collapse, nor not teachers, nor medical personnel. So you're suggesting he's not getting it right.
Well, you know, I don't want to jump into it. Nigel does his thing and I do my thing. But the thing here is that I think it's the IMF line, you know, that you focus on the fiscal and the monetary side, and then the thing is on autopilot. It's not on autopilot. This is a mistake. It's not that the fiscal is unimportant, but it's not sufficient to get the thing to move, right? So this is what I was getting at, that just focusing on finance, right? Well, what's the finance financing? And where's the source of the funds of the finance? I mean, ultimately, the bottom line is the source of the funding is in the production system. That gets reach up into finance. So that's the foundation.
Talked about technology as we look to wrap. Innovation, core, key.
Innovation this is another crucial point. And this is a reason why training, although highly important, is not quite sufficient, because training doesn't quite deal with the innovation side. That is, again, a reason why you got to have a scientific research system which is closer to business, closer to production, closer to the economy. And the whole academic system that we have at the tertiary level is too academic. I speak as one who was a product and perhaps had a long role in it. It's too academic. It's too distant from the economy. Now, there are some very good things going on.
I was going to say, aren't we addressing it now?
There are some. There's a group of people in the Department of Computer Science at UWI. I'm sure there are other examples. This was one I know of.
Scholarships at UTech too for
UTech as well,
so,
right?
Yeah.
So we shouldn't paint a picture that there's nothing going on, because that's not true,
Yeah.
right? There's lots going on, and lots independent efforts in the private sector going on. But it's not coordinated. This is the thing. It needs to be brought together and then sort of integrated into a concentrated policy. That is what we're really talking about.
Public-private business.
Public-private enterprises,
Gotcha.
partnerships, a whole range of things of that nature on the demand side. Otherwise, there are all these efforts of Dougie and Glenn Christian and so on. These guys going to migrate. The wonderful things which computer science at UW are doing in training in the Jam Coder project, Daniel Fulcom. They're going to land up in Canada.
We can't afford to lose them.
No, we cannot afford.
We can't afford to pay them right now. We can't afford
Well, that's why the state has to step in, you see, and provide the support, because a private business looks at its bottom line and says, hey, we can't sustain these guys at the moment. Right, so this is what we're talking about.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming.
Happy independence. Happy
Sit with us for a while, sir.
Okay.
Professor of Anthropology at the City University of New York, Dr. Don Robotham.
See? Wasn't